Why is America so unhappy? Every year, the UN and Oxford University release a report called the World Happiness Index, ranking happiness around the world. Finland once again took the #1 spot, followed by Denmark, Iceland, and Sweden. Now, the United States dropped a few spots, down to 24th this year. Not good. I went on TV to talk about this report and shared what I think explains all of it. Now, this is Geeky Stoics, and we delve deep into great stories for wisdom that can make your life better. And happiness is foundational to why we do this at all. There's a huge disconnect between how people define happiness versus what happiness might actually be. It's not joy from the movie Inside Out. It's not getting the one thing that you always wanted. It's a little bit more complicated. I'm going to share a few clips from the show and identify the things that are foundational to happiness based on the report. And one of those things, I believe, is the meaning of life. But I'll tell you what I think unites the people at the top. Adverse conditions. A lot of these nations are frigid, cold, rough to live in. It's not all about sunshine, warmth, and good vibes and the environment you're in. There's a culture within the people of all these countries of going through a kind of struggle together and a gratitude for the things that are good despite living in challenging places. Adversity. These are tough places to live. But one of the things you learn as you read about a place like Finland, they have a community commitment to existing without complaint. Sisu, grim determination in the face of hardship. No one out there is going to be super receptive to your discomfort about the weather that day or a bad Wi-Fi connection. They don't want to hear it. Adversity is critical to gratitude. Only through deprivation or loss of things do you begin to understand the little blessings that you have. And Finns are considered to be kind of bleak people. They're not bubbly or expressive, they're a little grim. If you are an emotive person, and I am, you might struggle with people who are very plain and reserved in how they emote or how they don't emote. I always find myself asking, are you okay? Why aren't you smiling? Please smile more.
I was accustomed to the default answer when someone asks you in Ireland or Britain, how are you? The default answer is not bad. And when Americans would ask me that question and I would say not bad, they would look at me with great concern as to how things were, what, is that all? And so I have had to get accustomed to the American tendency to say things are great, they're fantastic, which if you said in Ireland or Britain, you would be regarded, I think, as tooting your own horn.
This is so important, as is liking this video and leaving a comment with what you think about happiness. Ha, gotcha. So what Niall the Irishman is saying there is really important. Not every culture considers this question, how are you? And the response of, I'm great, to be normal. That's not normal everywhere. I have tried over the years to be more honest in how I answer that question so that people in America have the opportunity to really know me and know what's going on in my life so that they can maybe be of help if I need it. But in Ireland and Great Britain, they lead by saying they aren't bad, not by glossing over things and saying, pretty good, yeah.
Everything's under control, situation normal. How are you?
Yeah. How about you? That's the American way. In a New York Times piece on Finland, they spoke to this woman, Julia, from Zimbabwe, who immigrated to Finland, and she really struggles with the lack of expressiveness in the country. Because her people back home are very loud, exuberant, expressive, over the top, and it's our reminder that expressive joy is not the same thing as happiness.
True happiness is not the goal because you have to have negative emotions. Negative emotions keep you alive. Negative experiences make you learn and grow.
Arthur Brooks is a Harvard researcher and more politically conservative academic who works on happiness full-time. He's a Catholic, but he's also best friends with the Dalai Lama, so he's very involved in the world of Buddhism. I can't recommend his work enough.
The biggest barrier to actually getting happier is believing that happiness is a feeling. It's not. Happiness is evidence, or feelings are evidence of happiness, like the smell of dinner is evidence of dinner.
Brooks's research identified 3 pillars of being happier. You have to have enjoyment in your life, satisfaction, and then the other thing is meaning. What his work has shown is that you need all 3 balanced to some degree, and missing just one of them cuts your likely rate of happiness by 30%. enjoyment, which means daily pleasures and human connection. That might be closeness to nature or having a close friend circle in your neighborhood. Then there is satisfaction.
I've never been satisfied.
This is earned through struggle. You sought after something and then you finally get it. But the trouble of being human is that we will always want the next thing. If you've ever been low income, and I have, you're making $25,000 to $30,000 a year, and you believe so strongly that if you get that raise to $35,000 or $40,000, things are going to change. But then you work hard and boom, you're making way more than that, $60,000, $70,000 a year, and nothing changes.
I want more, and I know I shouldn't.
You're the same, and your problems are the same. This is where satisfaction has limits. And then the last one is meaning, and this is a big one. But there is a connection between family formation and children and reported degrees of happiness. That is tied in many ways to sacrifice of the things that American culture tells you are going to make you most happy, which is achievement, making more money, free time, going on things like vacations. And I'm going to tie this to something else, which is a very famous book by Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor, psychologist, and he wrote Man's Search for Meaning. And the entire thing is this wonderful essay on how people find meaning in their lives despite suffering, hard conditions. And at the end of the book, a student asks him, "What is the meaning to life?" And his answer for that is the meaning of my life, I believe, is to help other people find the meaning of theirs. And so we have a problem in our country with too much self-focus. This book will change you. Man's Search for Meaning. And the meaning of life, folks, is to help someone else find the meaning of theirs. For some of you, that's going to mean teaching or mentoring. And for others, that will obviously be parenting, having children, and their needs come before yours. But I guarantee you that your happiness will not come from self-service and the satisfaction of your wants and even the meeting of some of your needs. Now, the big grain of salt that you should take from the UN's Global Happiness Index is that the United States is a nation of 50 states with wildly different cultures and attitudes and ways of being. These other countries are small, homogeneous, and very cohesive, and if you try to rank the United States by putting Californians and New Yorkers into your data set with Floridians and Michiganders, it's gonna be a mess. So I don't really believe that America is this unhappy, but I do believe we have a self-evident problem in American life with contentment and adversity. One of the people who hates the methodology of the Happiness Index is Yasha Monk. He's not a stupid person, and he points out that the UN's questions don't really ask about this thing called happiness directly. They base the study around Cantrill's ladder, a framework where you place yourself on the rung of a ladder and you indicate if things are as good for you as they could be. And look, Europeans are not super ambitious people compared to Americans. We are a country that is very much driven towards accumulation. It's the capitalist mindset of this country to rise, to succeed, to grow your income, and as a result, in capitalist societies, you do have a lot of bifurcation between the people who have a lot and the people who have very little. And that hunger for the American dream, though, is a big part of why people come here. There's a spirit here of not settling. And this isn't a contradiction to everything I just told you about happiness or the rankings. We need ambition, drive, and goals, but we also need contentment and a sense of when enough is enough. Different cultures prioritize different things, and America's great gift is also kind of a curse at times. Finland and Iceland's understanding of both grit and acceptance is something Americans need more of at times. But what everyone everywhere needs is what Viktor Frankl identified in Man's Search for Meaning, which is that sacrifice of the self and less focus on your pursuit of meaning is probably going to be good for you. Your greatest founts of happiness will come from what you do for somebody else. And that is integral to the hero's journey and the greatest stories of all time. It's self-evident, and we'll be here on Geeky Stoics to help you along with that. So thanks for watching. Like this video if you found it helpful. Leave a comment on what I have right or wrong here, and do good things this week. We'll see you soon.